You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
We're going to go in depth and talk about a topic that people love to hate, and that's eating your vegetables. And even if you are doing a great job at eating your vegetables, how are you cooking them? Are you eating them raw? Are you having them baked, broiled, steamed, or what you're doing to those actual nutrients and whether you're able to absorb them or not? So here's the big thing. Hopefully by now you've heard the hot topic that you should be eating vegetables. And obviously, let's just do a quick review. Why is it so important to eat vegetables? And the reason is this, that vegetables are a low caloric but high dense nutrient food. So that means that all of the calories that you're really getting from vegetables are just packed with vitamins and minerals and antioxidants, all the great things that our bodies need to be healthy. There's really not too much downside to vegetables, except that certain vegetables can cause some bloating in certain people. If it's a nightshade, it could cause inflammation in certain people. So yes, there are those specific things that when you get down to the nitty gritty, if you ever need to get that specific, you can of course speak with a nutritionist or you can get more in depth. But at first, people just need to start eating their vegetables, right? There has to be a fundamental base level. And the other thing that I want to talk about today is that most people believe, and they've been told, that you should be eating your vegetables raw. And here's where I want to go into the research on this. So one thing I'm going to talk to you about from a scientific research level, and then another I'm going to talk to you from a clinical level that I work with in my practice and from Ayurvedic medicine. So one thing to know about cooking your vegetables is this. When you are cooking your vegetables, depending on how you're doing it, you're going to break down some of the vitamins and minerals in those things, mainly the vitamins, okay? And so what they found was research-based. This is a 2007 study. It was fairly in-depth. They didn't do a great job at delineating frying from boiling or baking, but I am going to go into it. So essentially, there's a study done in Germany. Over 200 people were in the study. When people fried their food, you could lose potentially over 50% of the vitamins in those foods. So frying the food is typically the least beneficial way of cooking your food and cooking your vegetables. When people use boiling, they could lose anywhere from 15% to about 50% of their food. But here's the other interesting part of it, is that yes, there are some issues around cooking your food, we'll say. But there are also great benefits. And here's another part that very few people look at. Unless your food has been locally grown, meaning not transported too far, or wasn't frozen, or has been, if it was frozen, how many months has it been frozen? The longer something goes from coming off of that vine or tree or out of the ground, whatever it might be, it's going to, whether it's raw or frozen or whatever it might be, it's going to start to lose its nutrients, okay? So it goes whether it's raw or cooked. It doesn't matter. Fresh food, fresh local organic food is always going to be your best choice. But so that's not the question, all right? We know that, or we should at least know fresh, local, organic is best, all right? But here's where it comes down to whether you should eat it raw or whether you should eat it cooked. Cooking some foods actually allows you to absorb more of the nutrients, okay? So, and this is also scientifically based as well. So, for example, when we're looking at the levels of lycopene absorbed from tomatoes, those people that cooked the tomatoes actually absorbed more lycopene than those people who ate them raw. And that's because by cooking certain foods, you allow the body not to have to do as much digestive work. And that means that so every plant has a cellulose structure. So basically like a wall, right? You have to break down this wall, and you do that by chewing. Too few people chew their food enough to actually break down that cellulose wall, or food in general. There's cellulose, hemicellulose, pectin. There's all sorts of different things that make up the structure of the plant food itself. Now, why does this matter? Well, it matters because if you don't chew up that food well, or you don't cook the food, you may not even be absorbing the nutrients in the first place. So by cooking the food, maybe you do lose 15%, 25% of the actual vitamins. However, that may be made up in your body's ability to then easier digest a pre-broken down food. Okay? So now that's the scientific part of it. Now let's get into the clinical aspect of it. Since I've been studying Ayurveda for so many years and spent many months in India in hospitals there, as well as private practice, and Sri Lanka as well, I can tell you that in Ayurvedic medicine, pretty much all the food is either cooked or it has been juiced. And the reason that happens is because when your body is sick, when it's not well, and that goes for anything, unless you're at peak condition, you're not well, okay? That's the truth. So if your digestive system isn't strong, and that has led to your wellness-based issues or weight loss-based issues, your food should be primarily cooked, if not all. A lot of people in my practice with real digestive issues is their food is completely cooked. All right. Here's the difference. There is no one diet for everyone. Can a raw food diet be great for some people? Yes, for some people. Those people living in warm climates, those people with strong digestive systems, or those people who know what they're doing in terms of what food should be eaten raw, which ones work better cooked. That's really how it works for most people. Now, if you're not well, you don't want to use all of your energy to start breaking down complex plant matter. Remember, cows or other animals that eat a lot of these plants and grasses, those specific types of things, they have multiple stomachs and they have a rumen that's used to churn up this food and really break it down to extract the nutrients. Now, again, I'm not saying that it has to be all for one or one for all. You could also have some food that is uncooked, like fruits, for example, and some vegetables as well, like, let's say, carrots or celery or things like that. But then you might want to cook things like kale or hard to break down nutrients as well, like broccoli. So there can be an in-between. But I'll tell you this, in Ayurvedic medicine, they do use a slow cooking method. The slow cooking method, typically in clay pots and things like that, allows you to keep a lot of those nutrients in the food. So if you haven't looked into slow cooking, it is something that I do recommend you looking into. A slow cooker, low temperature, doesn't break down the food as much in terms of nutrient absorption. Plus, everything cooks in that same pot and allows you to just take in all of those nutrients just from whatever's in that pot. So really, really nice. So do check that out. It can be a nice in-between slow cooking or deciding to even blend or puree a lot of your foods. Like you could have it raw, but why not make it into a smoothie like I recommend every morning? Or if you're making a certain vegetable, you could certainly puree that vegetable and that works as well. Like you could do pureed parsnips or whatever it might be. Again, usually you would cook parsnips, but you can do a puree of certain foods as well. What I want you to take from this podcast is this, that there is no one diet for everyone. And when you are at a low energy level, you most likely want to eat the majority of your foods cooked, not overcooked, but cooked, so that you can absorb the maximum amount of nutrients without using as much of your energy for that digestion as needed. Because remember, even if there are more nutrients in that dense, locked up plant fiber, that doesn't mean you're going to be able to absorb them if your digestive capacity is low. Hopefully that makes sense. So in my practice, what we do is we spend about anywhere between 6 and 12 weeks, typically 12 weeks, to get people's digestive strength going, so it makes their body stronger. And then what we do after that is then we ease them back into more raw vegetables and different things like that. And that is the best of both worlds. Strengthen the digestion using cooked vegetables in the beginning, and then after that, seeing what their body can tolerate. Because again, it's not my job to tell their body what it can tolerate. It's my job to get someone healthy and strong so that they can then take over on their own using their own strength of digestion. So hopefully that makes sense today. Do not shy away from cooking your vegetables as long as you are eating your vegetables in the first place. Thank you again for tuning into the Cabral Concept.
Before you go, I wanted to ask you this question.
What if I could teach you in just a couple of hours how to transform your thyroid, hormones, adrenal, cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar, weight loss, energy, mood, brain, pregnancy, anti-aging, or many other health-related issues? After 20 years in private practice, after seeing and overseeing 250,000 client appointments, I sincerely feel I have the real-world data and have found the answer you've been searching for. So what I've done is spent hundreds of hours of my own time refining what you need to know in order to uncover your underlying root cause health issues and then begin to rebalance the body and bring it back to a state of robust health and wellness. I'm going to teach you exactly what I do in my private practice so you can understand how you got here and now what you need to do in order to heal. You'll receive all of the important success checklists, protocols, and even ways to customize it to make the program fit your busy life. And you'll get all of this at a fraction of the price. Let me save you the time, money, energy, stress, and frustration of not knowing what to do next. Instead of reading dozens of books on the topic and seeing multiple practitioners, I will condense everything that you need to know in just a few hours of video tutorials that you can watch and listen to anywhere. Together, we will make this healing process an enjoyable one that you can take with you for the rest of your life. I wish you all of the best of health and happiness, and I hope to be able to guide you on your healing journey through my Health Results Accelerators. Simply choose the health imbalance you're currently suffering from, and by the end of today, you'll know what went wrong and how to get well again. I guarantee it. For details, head over now to stevencabral.com/courses.